My girlfriend's sister made me her runway doll. I never thought the quiet of our apartment would sound so loud. It was one of those late summer afternoons when the city seemed to slow, heat hanging in the air like a tired promise. I sat on the edge of our narrow balcony, the rail cool beneath my palms, and watched the street below like someone studying a map, trying to find a safe route out of an impossible choice. My name is Alex. I'm 28, assistant stage manager for a small fashion house that does more with grit than budget. My days are spent in the chaos behind the runway, timing lights, corralling models, fixing last-minute wardrobe malfunctions. People see me as practical, annoyingly calm when everything else is screaming. I take pride in that image. It's reliable. It keeps the questions from getting too close. But there's a quieter truth I've kept folded up like a silk scarf in the back of a drawer. For years I've been crossdressing in secret. Not because I have some dramatic identity crisis, and not because I wanted to shock anyone. It started as curiosity. A borrowed dress at a party, the stupid thrill of walking in heels that felt like a dare. Over time it became less like a dare and more like a homecoming. When I would slip into a skirt and let mascara do its small magic, the world around me softened. I felt lighter and sharper at the same time, like a switch had been flicked and both halves of me were finally speaking. I keep it private because my life is layered. There's Alex who signs contracts and runs cue sheets, and there's the part of me who practices heel balance at 2 a.m. on an empty stage. If anyone at work saw me in one of my outfits, they would laugh, misunderstand, or weaponize it. If Emma, my girlfriend, ever found out before I was ready, it could explain or explode everything. Emma is everything complicated and electric. She's a graphic designer who makes color palettes sing and who keeps a stack of sketches on the kitchen table like a trail of breadcrumbs leading back to her brain. We met on a rainy Thursday, both late to a client pitch, and somehow the rain turned into coffee, and the coffee turned into a habit of staying up late talking about tiny obsessions. She's generous with affection but has boundaries. She likes to know she's chosen, not bargained with. That's part of why I haven't told her. Telling would change the guarantee of being loved on the terms I want. Then there's Maya, Emma's younger sister. Maya is everything Emma is not. Loud, fearless, and dangerously charming. She works freelance as a stylist and small-time talent scout for indie shoots. She moves through spaces like she owns them and leaves them a little better dressed. When she laughs, people look up. When she stares at someone, she sees possibilities rather than people. I liked her the first time I met her. I also understood why Emma warned me to be careful around her. Maya is the kind of woman who notices cracks in facades and will either be the first to mend them or the first to pry them open. All of this, my double life, my fragile secret, Emma's careful love, Maya's hovering curiosity, made the apartment feel like a small planet with its own gravity. On paper, we had a comfortable life. Shared groceries, the same recycling bin, stupid inside jokes. In the nights when Emma worked late on a brand proposal and the apartment hummed with the refrigerator's solemn song, I would bring out the clothes. I'd slide into a dress, and for an hour I would become someone who moved differently, spoke softer, and saw the city as if painted in new tones. Those hours were mine. They were sacred. They were also the only place I did not have to perform competence. Work fed the private life as much as it isolated it. Being backstage at fashion shows meant I was surrounded by costumes, wigs, and hands that knew how to fold fabric into illusions. I had access to a world where transformations were celebrated, except, strangely, only on stage. Off stage, the rules were different. People applauded the model who wore a gown. They did not clap for the tailor who designed it, let alone the stagehand who secretly practiced walking in it alone. That contradiction sometimes felt like a small, sharp loneliness. The story that starts now comes from one of those collisions. The night Maya showed up at our apartment with an idea that smelled of perfume and trouble. She came unannounced, cheeks flushed from the walk, eyes bright with a plan. Emma told me later she thought Maya wanted coffee or a place to hide from an ex. I knew, from the way Maya didn't even take off her coat before talking, that this visit would not be ordinary. "You should model," Maya said, like it was absurd that I hadn't considered it. She picked up a cushion and tapped it, as if to make a point. The way you move when you think no one is watching, there's something there. I laughed, the reflexive thing people do when flattered and terrified in the same breath.
No.
I'm not a model. You are when I say you are, Maya replied, folding a strand of hair behind her ear and fixing me with that look that made the air feel flammable. You work with glamour every day. You know the rhythm. And besides, this is a small shoot, my runway experiment. I need unconventional, confident, vulnerable. You've got a good face for it. Her words were easy, dangerous. I felt the old, private longing stir, an invitation and a threat. I remembered how the lights softened faces on stage, how a last-minute stitch could turn panic into perfection. Maya's shoot sounded like an obvious extension. Backstage, freedom stroked into sudden spotlight. The problem was that Emma was in the room, my anchor and, unwittingly, my judge. I could imagine the scenario every way. Emma intrigued, Emma offended, Emma amused, Emma betrayed. I told Maya I'd think about it. I didn't tell Emma that thinking would mean nights of rehearsed walking in the living room, delicate experiments with eyeliner, the precise click of heels on hardwood at 2 a.m. I didn't tell her that the thought of being seen by someone like Maya, brutally honest and brutally kind, made my stomach both ache and flutter. So the apartment kept its ordinary rhythm while I kept the secret one. I kept practicing steps that blurred the line between who I'd been and who I was when the clothes fit right. And somewhere between the quiet folding of a pleated skirt and the reckless brightness of Maya's invitation, the story began to tilt into something else. It was small at first, a look, a stray compliment, a suggestion that sounded like an order. The question I couldn't stop asking myself was this: if Maya could coax a runway out of me with a few words and a blinking camera, what would happen when the runway wasn't a rehearsal anymore? What would happen when the lights stayed on and the audience wasn't just the cat-hairless couch and an empty balcony? Maya's invitation haunted me like a perfume that lingered long after the person wearing it had left. That night, I lay beside Emma, listening to her steady breathing, and stared at the ceiling as if it could give me answers. I wanted to say no. I wanted to laugh it off, dismiss it as one of Maya's whims, because she was always pulling people into her projects, always dangling promises of reinvention. But the truth was something in me wanted to say yes. That dangerous word whispered to me all week. While Emma was at work, I pulled out the clothes I'd hidden in a storage box under the bed. The ritual was always careful. Blinds closed, phone muted, heart pounding. I slipped into a pale blue dress, one I'd bought years ago under the excuse of helping with props. The fabric kissed my skin, light and forgiving, and my reflection in the mirror was enough to make my breath catch. A part of me, quiet, frightened, but very real, looked back and said, "This is closer to who you are than you admit." The first time I practiced, I only dared to walk across the living room, heels clumsy against the wood floor. The second time, I experimented with makeup, foundation too pale, eyeliner smudged, but the transformation was startling. I looked like a stranger I wanted to know better. And every time, the thrill was wrapped in fear. What if Emma came home early? What if she walked in to see me with mascara wand in hand, lips stained crimson, half caught between lives? One evening, while fixing my wig in the bathroom mirror, I froze at the sound of keys in the lock. My heart nearly broke my ribs. I yanked the wig off, stuffed it under the sink, scrubbed at my face until my skin burned. By the time Emma walked in, complaining about the subway delays, I was sitting at the kitchen table pretending to scroll my phone. She didn't notice. Or, if she did, she said nothing. But that moment burned into me. The close call that tasted like disaster and desire all at once. Maya didn't forget her proposal. She began dropping hints every time she visited. "You've got the build for high fashion," she'd remark casually, eyes flicking to my frame. Or, "You move with more elegance than half the models I coach." Emma would laugh and roll her eyes. "Don't encourage him, Maya." But I felt the weight of those words. They weren't just compliments, they were tests, nudges, invitations. One evening, Maya cornered me in the hallway while Emma was on a call. Her voice was low, conspiratorial. "You've thought about it, haven't you?" she asked, eyes sharp as glass. I wanted to deny it. I wanted to say I had no idea what she was talking about. But the truth tangled in my throat, and what came out instead was a shaky half-smile. Her grin widened. "I knew it. Don't worry, I'll make you look incredible. You'll thank me." I should have been terrified. But instead, a spark of anticipation ignited in my chest. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. Emma had gone to visit her parents, and Maya dropped by with a garment bag, makeup kit, and a gleam in her eyes that told me refusal wasn't an option. "Sit," she ordered, dragging a chair into the center of the living room. "Maya, I don't." "Sure, trust me." Her hands were quick and confident, brushing foundation over my skin, blending with strokes that felt oddly tender. The scent of her products filled the room, floral, sharp, intoxicating. She applied eyeliner with precision, pausing occasionally to tilt my chin up. "See?" she whispered as she finished the lips with a shade of soft rose. "You could stop traffic." When she finally let me look in the mirror, my stomach dropped. I didn't just look like me in makeup, I looked like someone entirely new. Softer, more radiant, eyes wide with a vulnerability I didn't know I carried. Then came the dress, a black satin slip that clung in ways I'd never dared to imagine. Maya zipped it up, stepped back, and smirked like an artist admiring her work. "Walk for me," she commanded. My knees shook as I took the first step, heels tapping against the floor. Maya's gaze followed me, intense and appraising. "Slower," she said. "Own it." I adjusted, found a rhythm, and something inside me clicked. For a moment, the fear melted into exhilaration. I wasn't just pretending. I was being. Maya clapped once, sharp. "Perfect. You're a natural." But beneath her praise, a current of danger ran. Because I knew this wasn't just about play anymore. Maya had seen a side of me no one else had. And she wasn't going to let me put it back in the box. After that Sunday, the stakes rose. I couldn't stop thinking about the transformation. The way the satin felt against my skin. The way my reflection had looked back at me with an unfamiliar kind of confidence. But every thought was chased by fear. What if Emma found out? What if Maya told her? Emma started noticing my distractions. "You've been quiet lately," she said one night, brushing her hand against mine. "Everything okay?" I forced a smile. "Just work stress." But guilt gnawed at me. I was hiding more than stress. I was hiding a secret that could shatter us. And yet, when Maya texted me photos from the mini shoot she'd taken that Sunday, I couldn't stop staring at them. The person in those images was breathtaking, fragile, powerful. Me and not me. The paradox consumed me. One evening, while Maya was touching up my lipstick in the living room, we both froze at the sound of the front door unlocking.
"Emma."
Panic surged. Maya's eyes widened, then narrowed with amusement rather than fear. "Relax," she whispered. "I'll handle it." She shoved me toward the bedroom and pulled the door shut just as Emma's footsteps entered. From behind the door, I heard their voices. Emma asking, "What are you doing here?" And Maya answering casually about borrowing a sweater. My pulse hammered so hard I thought it would betray me. I stood there in heels and silk, makeup flawless, heart begging for escape. If Emma had walked in at that moment, everything would have unraveled. But she didn't. Maya's charm smoothed the edges, and Emma seemed none the wiser. When Emma finally went to shower, Maya cracked the bedroom door open and smirked at me.
"See?"
"Thrilling, isn't it?" she whispered. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her she was reckless, cruel. But the truth was she wasn't wrong. The adrenaline was addictive. The danger made it more intoxicating. And that was the real problem. The more dangerous it became, the more alive I felt. Maya didn't let things rest after that night of near discovery. A week later, she cornered me again, this time with something more dangerous than makeup or a dress. "There's a show," she said, scrolling on her phone and thrusting it into my hands. It was a flyer for an underground fashion event. Bold colors splashed across the screen. Small crowd. Indie designers. "I'm styling 3 models, but one of them dropped out. You'd be perfect." I froze. Are you insane? I can't. You can, she interrupted, eyes blazing. And you will. Don't you see, Alex? You're wasting this. I've seen the way you move. You belong up there. Belong. That word sank like a stone in my chest. But fear rose just as quickly. What about Emma? What if she... She won't know. Maya cut in smoothly. She's working that night, isn't she? I checked. The realization chilled me. Maya wasn't guessing. She'd planned this. That night, I lay awake again beside Emma. She stirred in her sleep, hair falling across her cheek, and I watched her with an ache that mixed guilt and longing. I wanted to tell her everything. To confess how the dresses made me feel alive in ways I didn't understand. To explain how Maya had dragged that hidden part of me into the light. But the words died in my throat. Emma loved me. She loved Alex. Would she love the version of me Maya was shaping? Lipstick, heels, fragile confidence? Or would she see it as betrayal, a perversion of the man she thought she knew? My chest felt tight with the weight of two lives pulling in opposite directions. The night of the show arrived like a storm I couldn't stop. Maya swept me into her studio hours before, tossing garments across racks, pulling out a gown that shimmered silver under the lights. This one, she said, holding it up to my frame. It'll own the runway. She worked on me like a sculptor, hands steady as she applied foundation, lashes, gloss. Each stroke erased Alex and revealed someone else, a woman whose reflection made my stomach flip with awe and terror. When the gown slipped over my shoulders, cool fabric hugging me, I almost cried. The heels lifted me, spine straight, chin high. I looked in the mirror and thought, I don't just look like her. I am her. Backstage, the noise was dizzying. Music thumping, designers shouting, models strutting. My heart pounded louder than all of it. Maya leaned close, whispering in my ear, You're mine out there. Remember that. And then the lights pulled me forward. The runway was a blur of white light and pounding rhythm. I walked, heels clicking, dress flowing, faces blurred in the dark beyond the stage. Every step felt impossible and inevitable. I was terrified, exposed, and yet exhilarated. For those minutes, I wasn't hiding. I wasn't pretending. I was alive. When I reached the end of the runway, turned, and felt the fabric sweep dramatically behind me, I heard cheers, actual cheers. Applause. Whistles. They weren't laughing. They weren't mocking. They were clapping for me. Something inside me cracked open. But the high didn't last. As I stepped off stage, adrenaline burning, I froze. In the shadows near the back row, someone familiar.
Emma.
My stomach dropped. She was supposed to be working, but there she was, eyes wide, hand covering her mouth. For a heartbeat, the world stopped. Maya appeared at my side, her grip firm on my arm, voice low. Keep walking. Don't falter. Own it. But my knees wobbled. My chest constricted. Emma had seen. Not the man she kissed goodnight. Not the boyfriend she introduced to her parents. She had seen this. After the show, I found Emma waiting outside, her face pale under the streetlight. Alex, she whispered, voice trembling. I tried to speak, but the words tangled. Emma, I can explain. Explain? Her voice cracked. You were up there. In a dress. On a runway. Everyone staring, cheering. And Maya, her eyes flashed with betrayal. Did she put you up to this? Yes, I admitted, shame heavy in my throat. But it's not just her. It's me. I wanted this. I've always wanted this. Her silence was worse than anger. Her eyes filled with something I couldn't name, hurt, confusion, maybe fear. Maya stepped in smoothly, almost smug. He's brilliant, isn't he? I told you he had it in him. Shut up, Maya. Emma snapped, tears brimming. This isn't your game. I stood between them, two forces pulling me apart. Emma, love I couldn't lose. Maya, temptation I couldn't resist. Emma turned to me, her voice breaking. Who are you, Alex? Because I don't know if I recognize you anymore. Her words cut deeper than any jeer from the crowd could. In my hand, I still clutched the silver clutch Maya had given me, a prop, a symbol. I looked at it, gleaming under the streetlight, fragile and dazzling. It felt like a choice. Drop it, and with it, the persona Maya had created. Or hold on to it and risk losing Emma. My hand trembled. The city noise blurred. My reflection from the runway flashed in my mind, powerful, free, untouchable. But Emma's tears weighed heavier. I couldn't decide. I couldn't breathe. Emma whispered, voice hoarse. When you're ready to be honest, with yourself and with me, you know where to find me. Then she turned and walked into the night, leaving me frozen in heels on the curb. Maya slid closer, her hand curling around my arm possessively. Don't chase her. She'll come around. But you've tasted it now. You can't go back. And in that moment, I realized she was right about one thing. I couldn't go back. Not completely. But the cost of moving forward might be everything I loved. Emma's sister, Sophia, didn't waste any time taking control. From the moment she stepped into my apartment, she carried herself like a director orchestrating a performance. My performance. Take off those jeans, she said bluntly, tossing a garment bag onto the couch. You're not hiding behind boy clothes anymore. Her confidence was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. I obeyed almost instinctively, my hands trembling as I slid out of my everyday clothes. Standing there in nothing but boxers, I felt naked in a way I never had before. Sophia smirked, circling me like I was a mannequin. You've got the right frame, she mused. Tall, leaned perfect for a runway silhouette. You just need refinement. The garment bag unzipped with a hiss, and inside was a dress that made my knees weak. It was emerald green satin, the kind of dress you'd see models strutting in under runway lights. She held it up against me, nodding approvingly. Put it on. I hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing against my chest. If I did this, I wouldn't just be trying on women's clothes in secret anymore. I'd be surrendering to someone else's vision of me. My pulse hammered as I slipped the dress over my head, the cool satin sliding against my skin like water. When it settled over my frame, clinging in ways I didn't think possible, I caught my reflection in the mirror Sophia angled toward me. My breath caught. I didn't look like myself. I looked otherworldly. Sophia's smirk turned into a grin. Now we're getting somewhere. Every fiber of me screamed that this was wrong, that Emma would hate me if she ever found out that I was giving Sophia too much power over me. But another part of me, the part one had buried for so long, was on fire. The dress fit like it was made for me. My hands trembled as I smoothed it over my hips, my chest tightening with something between shame and exhilaration. Sophia crouched to adjust the hem, muttering, "You'll need heels. And hair. Don't worry, I brought everything." When she pulled out a shoebox and revealed a pair of black stiletto heels, my heart nearly stopped. "I can't," I started. "You can," she interrupted sharply, handing them to me. Slipping my feet into the heels was like stepping into another world. At first, I wobbled, catching myself on the arm of the couch. Sophia laughed softly, almost kindly. "Relax your knees. Glide, don't stomp. Think, Grace." With her guidance, I took tentative steps across the room. Each click of the heel against the floor was electric, a reminder that I was no longer pretending. I was becoming. But fear not at me. What if Emma walked in right now? What if she saw her boyfriend strutting like a runway doll under her sister's instructions? Sophia seemed to sense the storm inside me. "You're afraid of being caught," she said, almost casually. "Good. That fear will sharpen your performance. Use it." Sophia sat me down and opened a case filled with makeup. Brushes, palettes, lipsticks. It was overwhelming. "Hold still," she instructed, leaning close. The smell of her perfume filled my senses as she traced eyeliner across my lids. "If you're going to walk my runway, you need a face that demands attention." I closed my eyes, letting her work, every brushstroke igniting something inside me. I had dabbled with makeup before in secret, smudged lipstick in the bathroom mirror, a bit of concealer here and there, but this was artistry. When she spun me toward the mirror, I barely recognized myself. Long lashes framed my widened eyes, my lips glistened a deep berry red, and the contour of my cheeks made me look sculpted, refined. I looked like someone who belonged on a stage.
My throat went dry.
That's me? Sophia chuckled. That's the doll I've just created. She placed a sleek brunette wig on my head, brushing it out until it fell in soft waves around my shoulders. When she finished, she stepped back, arms crossed, admiring her work. You're runway ready. Almost. Almost. The word lingered, equal parts promise and threat. The clock ticked closer to when Emma usually came home. My chest tightened with every second. What if she finds out? I whispered, panic threading through my voice. Sophia arched an eyebrow. Isn't that part of the thrill? I shook my head violently. No, you don't understand. If she sees me like this, she'll see the truth. Sophia cut in, her voice sharp but not unkind. And maybe that scares you more than anything. My hands gripped the edge of the vanity table. She was right. Deep down, I wasn't just afraid of Emma's reaction. I was afraid of confronting who I really was. Sophia leaned in, her tone conspiratorial. Here's the deal. You walk for me, tonight as my private model. In return, I keep your secret. But if you refuse... Her gaze locked on mine, unyielding. Maybe Emma deserves to know what her boyfriend does when she's not around. My stomach dropped. It wasn't a suggestion. It was blackmail wrapped in silk. The sound of a car pulling into the driveway sliced through the room like a blade. My heart leapt into my throat.
Emma.
Sophia's grin widened. Showtime. The rehearsal venue was nothing like I imagined. Instead of a glamorous stage with flashing cameras, it was a converted warehouse downtown. Bare walls, hanging lights, folding chairs lined up in rows. Still, the moment I stepped inside in that emerald gown, heels striking against the polished floor, every eye turned toward me. And for the first time, I wasn't James sneaking around in secret. I was Jade. Sophia's hand pressed firmly against the small of my back, steering me forward like she was parading a prized creation. Confidence, she whispered. Own the room. The fashion crew's stares burned through me. Whispers darted back and forth. I wanted to shrink into myself, to rip the wig off and flee, but the gown clung to me like a second skin, forcing me to stay. One of the organizers, a tall man with a sharp jawline and clipboard, approached Sophia. This is your model? Last-minute replacement, Sophia said smoothly. But I promise, she'll own the runway. The man's eyes flicked over me, legs, hips, neckline, face. My breath caught, my cheeks blazing beneath the makeup.
Did he know?
He gave a short nod. Line her up. Rehearsal starts in 10. My knees threatened to give out. 10 minutes.
10 minutes until I had to walk.
The music began, low and pulsing, vibrating through the floor. The models strutted one by one down the makeshift runway, perfect in their poise. When my turn came, Sophia's hand tightened on mine. Go, she hissed. I swallowed hard and stepped forward. Each click of my heels echoed too loudly. My hands shook, so I forced them to sway like the others. My dress swished, my legs burned from the pressure of keeping balance, but step by step, I found rhythm. And then I heard it. Applause. Polite, reserved, but real. A ripple of approval that made my spine straighten. For a moment, I wasn't hiding. I wasn't pretending. I was Jade, commanding attention. By the time I turned back, heart racing, Sophia was grinning like she'd won.
See?
Natural. But even as pride bloomed in me, dread coiled tighter. Because Emma still didn't know. The rehearsal ended late. My feet screamed in the heels as Sophia dragged me backstage to change. But before I could even reach the dressing area, her phone buzzed again. Her smirk faltered. She stared at the screen, then at me. It's Emma. My stomach dropped. She's calling you? Sophia answered, putting it on speaker. Where are you? Emma's voice demanded, sharp with suspicion. I came back home after my shift, and James isn't there. Neither are you. What's going on? Sophia's eyes danced with devilish amusement. Relax, sis. We're just out. Bonding. Bonding. Emma's tone cracked. At midnight? With my boyfriend? What the hell are you two hiding? I froze, every nerve screaming. My entire double life dangled by a thread. Sophia ended the call with a casual flick. Well, looks like we're on a timer. Better hurry, Jade. She's coming. By the time Emma stormed into the warehouse, my transformation was far from complete. My wig was still pinned, lipstick intact, the emerald gown hugging me tight. Her eyes locked on me instantly. James? Her voice broke. I froze, every muscle screaming to run, but Sophia slid behind me, hands on my shoulders like she was presenting a masterpiece. Not James, Sophia purred. Meet Jade. Emma's face drained of color. She looked between me and her sister, betrayal etched across her features. What is this? Some kind of sick joke. Tears stung my eyes. My voice came out broken, trembling. Emma, I can explain. Explain? She cut me off, her voice trembling with rage. You're wearing a dress. Makeup. Heels. And my sister. She turned, glaring daggers at Sophia. You made him do this, didn't you? Sophia shrugged, smug. Made him? Or just gave him what he secretly wanted? The words hit like a whip. Emma stepped closer, her hands shaking. James, tell me the truth. Do you want this? Do you like dressing up like this? The silence stretched. My chest ached with the weight of the choice. Deny it, and I could salvage everything. Admit it, and I risked losing Emma forever. I opened my mouth, but Sophia beat me to it. Of course he does. Look at him, Em. Look at the way his eyes lit up on that runway. He's not your James anymore. He's my Jade. No, I cried, the word ripping out of me. That's not true. But as Emma's eyes searched mine, I knew the truth was written all over my face. The thrill, the fear, the undeniable pull of Jade. Her lips parted, trembling. Oh my God. In that moment of chaos, the gown's zipper caught on itself and slid halfway down. The wig loosened, slipping sideways. Half James, half Jade stared back from the mirror, two selves colliding in one fragile body. Emma gasped, covering her mouth. Sophia only smiled. Perfect. The real runway show has just begun. Emma's voice broke the silence. You betrayed me. Both of you. She turned on her heel, storming out, the sound of the warehouse door slamming reverberating through me. I collapsed into a chair, sobs racking my chest. What have you done to me? I whispered. Sophia crouched in front of me, lifting my chin with one finger, her smile chilling. What you always wanted. I just brought Jade to life. Her words were poison and truth all at once. And in that instant I realized I was no longer in control. The echo of the warehouse door slamming still vibrated in my chest. Emma was gone. Her footsteps had thundered out into the night, leaving only the fading sound of her car engine in the distance. I stood there frozen in the gown, half wig askew, makeup streaked by tears. The mirror showed me a fractured reflection, James, broken and trembling, and Jade, fierce yet vulnerable, staring back through the paint and silk. I have to go after her, I whispered, stumbling toward the door. But Sophia's hand shot out, gripping my wrist with surprising force. Her nails dug into my skin.
No.
Let her go. I yanked my arm, but she tightened her grip. Her eyes were sharp, glinting in the dim light. You chase after Emma, she'll never look at you the same way again. You think she'll want her boyfriend back after seeing him prance in heels?
No, Jade.
She'll never forgive you. My chest heaved. Stop calling me that. Her smile curved, slow and cruel. But that's who you are now. You felt it, didn't you? On that runway, under those lights, you weren't James. You were alive. Powerful. Beautiful.
Jade.
Tears burned hot against my cheeks. She was right. That feeling, the rush, the applause, the thrill, it had ignited something inside me. But at what cost? I shook my head violently.
No.
I love Emma. I can't lose her. Sophia leaned in close, her whisper curling like smoke around my ear. Then you'll have to choose. Either chase after her as James or step fully into Jade and never look back. The weight of her words crushed me. I tore free from Sophia's grasp and bolted outside, the cold night air slapping my bare shoulders. My heels clattered against the cracked pavement as I half ran, half stumbled toward the street. Emma's car lights were long gone, but the city stretched ahead like a maze of possibilities. For a split second, I pictured myself chasing her, showing up at her door, begging her forgiveness, stripping away every trace of Jade until James was all that remained. But when I glanced down at myself, the glittering gown hugging my body, the lipstick still perfect despite the tears, I froze. Could I really peel all of this away? Could I truly go back? Behind me, Sophia emerged from the warehouse, her heels clicking calmly, confidently. She didn't run. She didn't chase. She simply stood there, arms folded, as though she already knew how this story would end. "Run all you like," she called softly into the night air. "But remember, I gave you Jade. And deep down, you don't want to let her go." Her words followed me like chains as I staggered down the street, torn between two lives, two selves, both of which could shatter me. My phone buzzed in the clutch Sophia had forced on me earlier. Hands trembling, I pulled it open.
It was a text from Emma. "Don't come home tonight.
I need time. Maybe forever." The screen blurred through my tears. My heart cracked open. She wasn't waiting. She wasn't ready to forgive. The words echoed like a death sentence. And yet, beneath the devastation, something darker stirred, an image of me on the runway, lights blazing, applause washing over me like fire. The choice loomed larger than ever. Sophia's voice drifted closer, soft, almost tender.
"She's gone, Jade.
But I'm still here. And tomorrow night, there's a real runway show. With real cameras, real people. Step into the spotlight with me, or crawl back into the shadows as James. Your decision." I stood there on the deserted street, gown shimmering beneath the streetlight, the city whispering around me. One text from Emma, one invitation from Sophia. Two paths. Two lives. And only one could survive. I stared down at my reflection in a rain puddle, the mascara-streaked girl staring back up at me, and whispered, voice breaking, "What if Jade is all that's left?" The night swallowed the words whole, leaving only silence and the promise that everything would change tomorrow. And that's where the story ends for now. Will James fight for Emma and risk losing Jade forever? Or will Sophia's dangerous game drag him deeper into the world of fashion, lights, and lies? What do you think will happen next? Drop your predictions in the comments below. I'll be reading them all.